Yes, sure. Yeah, cool. So, is it audible? Fine. Hello? Hello? No, I'm pretty sure I'm speaking. Hello? Okay, cool. Huh? Yeah, the video is pretty good. Thank you. Oh, that's sweet. Fine. Mm. Huh. Huh. Okay, that's absolutely fine. As long as you guys get me the questions, it's cool.
Hi, Nikita. I'm trying to join, but I'm not able to join somewhat. Hello.
Yes. Good evening, and I think you're already in the meeting.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Am I audible?
Hi,
Am I
Rahul.
audible?
Yeah, you are
Okay.
audible.
Good evening, Mr. Suyash, and am I visible?
Yeah, you are visible to me. I was trying to join from past 5 minutes, and I got a call from Nikita as well. Right
I
now,
see.
who is coordinating this? I hope now I have joined completely.
Yes, you
Just
have. I am
give me
able to
one
see you
second.
as well as hear you as well.
Just give me a minute. I'm
And
getting a call from Nikita again.
oh yes, yes, sure.
Hey, Rahul. I'm back.
Okay, right. So good evening, and I'm guessing we're live right now. So I guess we can start with the session if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. The thing is, I only see three participants. So shall we really start, or
Yes.
we have to wait for somebody?
Yes, sir. This meet is actually being streamed live to YouTube, and I
Okay.
guess Rakesh or Dhyanesh is at the other end. They can give the get go.
Okay.
Uh,
So if we have a thumbs up, we can start. And
yes.
I hope you are the moderator for today, Rahul.
Yes, I am the host for today. A pleasure to
Okay,
meet
cool.
you.
So yeah, pleasure to meet you as well. Um, so before I start, I just want to mention some of the hygiene points. While doing the meeting, I'll be presenting overall a few of my slides, and I have a small session for Q&A. So suppose if the students have some questions, they can definitely ask via chat. They can write it there on the chat, and you can help me by reciting those questions, and I can answer those questions. Or if somebody wants to speak, they can raise their hand, and we can try to answer it at the last. Okay.
Okay, so even we have a few questions for you. So we'll just decide on the order of presenting right now. I would like to propose an order and just let me know if that's okay with you.
Sure.
So I'll give a short introduction to who you are to the audience,
Sure.
and I'd like to ask the questions that we have on our end first,
Okay.
and then we can proceed with your slides and what you have to convey to the audience yourself.
Okay.
And once that is all done, we can go for the Q&A session. Is that fine by you, sir?
Question. You want to ask the questions in the beginning
Mm,
from your end?
no, no. Like I am just proposing an order, and I just wanted to know if that's okay with you.
Okay, but I thought I need to present something from my end, like my
All
introduction
right,
and
we can push that up the order as well.
yeah,
You can
I'll
go with
take
your
like first 15 to 20 minutes to present some of the good stuff which you guys will really love it, and then you can ask
Mhm.
your questions if it is related to my topics as well, and if it is related to some other topic, then also I'm okay. Cool.
Yes, sir. The questions are related to your repertoire, sir. So I
Okay.
think you wouldn't really have a lot of trouble answering them. So I'll just introduce you to the gathering,
Sure.
and then you can present your whatever you have to say to the gathering. Then
Sure.
we'll continue with the questions.
Sure.
All right, then. A pleasure, sir.
Go on.
So with this in mind, we can start.
Okay.
Hmm. So
Okay. Do you want me to start presenting?
No, 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 sir. No, sir. Like I'll give a around 2 minute introduction of yourself,
Sure.
and then you can start presenting.
Okay. Great.
Right then. So on the count of three. Good evening to one and all present with us as a part of this live stream. Probe is the annual symposium of the Department of Electronics and Communication, NITT Trichy. As Probe'23 draws closer, we have with us what promises to be an insightful session that is sure to leave behind a lot of lot of knowledge. With this in mind, who better to have with us today than Mr. Suyash Kumar Dewangan? Mr. Suyash has donned many hats over the course of a long and illustrious career. He is an international career advisor with experience in product management, sales, marketing, IT consulting, software development, and talent management. He is also a full-time business consultant and an F&B investor. He has worked with 100 plus young adults as a mentor and helped people with 10 plus years of hard work experience landing jobs in Europe and North America. He has worked with multiple startups for many years, and he has also invested a lot in the food and beverages sector as a part of owning Les Epicures. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He is also the co-founder of Purple Cat Marketing, specializing in the food and beverage industry. He invests some time every week to interact with fast-growing startups and to help them expand their businesses. We would like to thank Qualcomm, our title sponsor for Probe'23, for making this event possible, and we're extremely delighted to have you with us for this evening. So, a few words before we continue with your presentation, sir.
Sure, sure. Thanks a lot, Rahul, and thanks a lot for the great introduction. Although I would really like to tell you that the pronunciation is Les Epicure. We need to connect the S and E. It's Les Epicure. It's a French word, so never mind. It's always difficult. Even I took 3 years to learn it perfectly, but the pronunciation was really good at your end. From now, I would like to continue presenting for next 10 to 15 minutes. Rahul, is it okay?
Yes, sure, sir.
Okay. So just let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes.
Mm, oops. Is it visible, Rahul?
No, sir, I'm not able to see your screen. I think I did around a second back.
Okay, just give me a minute. Mm, yeah. Okay. I hope now it is good.
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. So, are you able to see my screen, Rahul, with my photo and international career advisors written on it?
Yes, sir, I am. You
Okay,
can
great.
continue with the presentation.
So, hi everybody. Taking next 10 to 15 minutes to give a brief agenda about myself, about this session, and a bit about myself. So, this is the agenda from my side. I'll be talking a bit about my experience and myself and my background. Then I'll be talking about the POV of career building, some very good points from my end, and then we will be parking the discussion on Q&A session where everybody is allowed to ask me more and more questions and to learn more about the new jobs and new job opportunities in more than not only in the big tech segment. You can ask me anything about the career portfolio. Okay. Going towards the first part, my career highlights. Thanks to Rahul, he has already covered a bit of it, but still, I'll give a very story kind of format introduction about myself to everybody. I'm basically a computer engineer. I did my computer engineering from University of Pune, and while doing my computer engineering, I had multiple startups on my name. I'll talk about only one of the biggest startup which I had. That was an IT company, a very small IT company named as Plant Tech Labs. So there we were used to provide IT solutions and IT services to small and medium-sized enterprises. So this was I was this thing I was used to do when I was 20-year-old. something around 2014 and 13. Uh, we were helping a lot of small companies to have their digital presence. That means we were making dynamic websites for them. Then, after completion of my bachelor's, I already had a job offer from Accenture Bangalore. So I moved to Accenture Bangalore, and I was working for a banking company. So that the name of the banking company was National Bank of Canada, and I was working on a banking platform. Now, that was one of my longest tenure in my starting part of my professional life. I was on a consulting role, but I was moving more towards the techie part of it. So that's where, after working for 3 years, I realized that I cannot be only techie. I need to have more of a business acumen inside me. So I started looking for a business and management course, and with some guidance from my mentors as well as from my friends, I was able to find one of the best course in the world for this kind of education, and one of the best school in the world as well. So I went to France. I went to EDEC Business School in France, and then I did a dual degree program where I have a minor in management and I have a major in strategy. Now, in India, I had one professional experience with Accenture. Then, when I moved to France, I got an opportunity to work with multiple organizations. So for two of the companies listed here, the SIA Partners and Procter and Gamble's, I have done 4 months corporate projects with them, a full-fledged corporate projects when I was studying. So for Procter and Gamble, I worked as a market research analyst, and for SIA Partners, I worked as a consultant on a payment domain. Since I had a banking profile, it was easy to jump there. But after completion of my masters, I had an opportunity to work with SAP, one of the leading companies in the ERP segment. So I worked as a director with them in the sales part. So I worked in solution management, which is the sub part of the sales part. So here I got a different definition to my knowledge, a different level of learnings I achieved here when I worked with SAP. Because when I was into technology, I was learning how to build a product, how to nurture a product, or how to subset a project. But eventually, when I went for a sales role, I learned how to interact with the customer, how to sell my product well to the customer, how to do an upsell, how to do a cross sell. Now, this is one of the most glorifying and one of the heavy learning or steep curve in my life when I started working with SAP, because coming from a consulting background and jumping into the sales was a good learning for me. And here I was overall in a technology domain. I was overall in a SaaS, software as a service domain. So I never left this technology or big tech part of it. Now, 2 3 years down the line working with SAP, I had to do my master thesis for my school. So when I started doing my master thesis, I was approached by a startup called Stereo Labs. Now I'll give you a brief two-pointer about Stereo Labs. Now Stereo Lab is a company which works on the hardware segment. They create or build 3D cameras for machines and robots so that they can see the world like us and make decisions. So this seemed to be very interesting opportunity for me 6 7 months ago, and I was approached by the founder of the company. So I had to work with the CEO. So I started working with them, and they wanted me to build their own sales organization. So I joined Stereo Labs in France, Paris, and now I have talked a lot about my professional experiences. So I'll tell you a bit about my independent or individual ventures as well. I have my own marketing company based out of Pune, India, the Purple Cat Marketing, and then I'm the owner of Laser Pico Food Limited, Food and Beverage Limited, told by Rahul. Here I work as an investor. I invest in multiple food brands, and I open my own restaurant as well. Opening a restaurant, this thing came to my mind when I started studying, or when I started living alone, and when I had to eat in the mess. So at that time, as a student, I imagined that there should be a point in my life where I'll be opening a restaurant. Now, apart from all these, I am also part of Namaste Francais. This is a French association which supports development of Indian culture in France. So we host multiple festivals like Diwali and Holi, and organize these kind of events and invite more than 50 nationalities in these kind of events. And I'm also a member of EDEC Inspiring Women, which is one of the club of my school, where we connect a lot of women working and studying at EDEC to the women working at the corporates. Now, this is more than a crisp version of my introduction. I'll quickly jump to the second part in my agenda, that is POV career building part. Okay, now here I have a question, Rahul and everyone. How many of you actually know the picture on the left? I just need a show of hand, or if somebody knows that, just write yes in the chat and type it. Nobody?
Sir, I would like to have a few words.
Sure.
Okay, so I heard about this book called Ikigai, which is a
Yeah, yeah.
self-improvement book,
Hmm.
and this diagram was something very familiar to that.
Yeah.
Like
So,
the intersection of all these four diagrams is
yeah.
your Ikigai or your purpose in life.
Yeah, this is exactly what you said, Rahul. I hope other people also know about this. For the people who doesn't know, I request you all to just give 15 to 20 minutes today itself to look at it. So, when we are building our career or when we are doing something in our life, most of the times it revolves around four different elements. Number one is passion, number two is profession, number three is vocation, and number four is mission. If somebody is able to manage all these things and work or in an area where all these things matches, that means he is also working with his passion and he is good at it and he is getting paid for that, and this is the need of the market, that is the place where he will be most satisfied and most happy. But 99.9% of the time, this doesn't happen in the real life scenario. A lot of people don't do what exactly they want to do and what exactly they like. They like. Now, I have my own equation to it, which I call it EI square equation. Now, which is on the right. This is a very easy version to explain why, when we come from a third world country or when we come from a country like India, we tend to do those professions which are known very much by the our previous generations. Like, people do medicine because their parents want them to be a doctor. People do engineering because their parents want them to be an engineer. But nowadays there are multiple professions, mainstream professions, which are better than these professions. And like, you can keep on asking questions to me that what one can do to be at a particular profession. I'll give you an example. Nowadays people want to be a content creator or a data creator, or want to be a level marketer for a leading company. But there are certain courses which has to be done to become that particular guy or that particular persona. Trying to explain this particular part to all of you, if we are in a room or if we are in this call, uh, we all know that all of us are educated. All of us know everything about education and all of us are educated. If I'll ask, like, how many of us are intelligent, all of us are intelligent. We are those top 50,000 rankers in all over India exam, like JEE mains. All of us scored like 50,000 and less than that rank. So it's really important to manage all these three pointers of EI square equation, because one cannot be only educated or intelligent and not be informed. Because to achieve something in life, you need to be informed very well. Because if somebody wants to be a robotics and AI engineer or wants to be in the field of robotics, they need to understand what is ROS, what is robotics framework. Now, how they need to know it, they need to be informed. They have to make their own research, they have to do their own primary and secondary research, and then they need to grow themselves. So this is something very important to understand, that we have to be educated, we have to be intelligent, and most importantly, we have to be informed. If the third point is missing, we are going in the wrong direction. Moving forward, I just want to talk about this slide, and then we can jump to the questions. So, in big tech, there are at least 5 to 6 different industries which are growing a lot nowadays. I choose two of main industries which I think could be a very important topic when we look at the things from a technology point of view. Nowadays, the robotics and AI industry is growing a lot. We can strike out the blockchain part because blockchain is still a very new or naive thing to talk about. But I'll be talking about A and B, the robotics and AI and SaaS industry. Now, I know that there will be a lot of ENTC engineers in the room, and they would love to go in the field of robotics or machinery or hardware. So, to be very much updated in this field, I would suggest everybody to read this robotics newsletters or to subscribe to robotics newsletters. There are many newsletters by NVIDIA, Intel, and Robo24. You can subscribe to that and you can learn more about it. Now, there are world level competitions. One is Robocon, and one of the competition for which IT Madras has reached out to me, but I just can't and learning more about the ROS framework. Now, this ROS framework is something which all of us should know because if somebody wants to be in robotics or if somebody wants to be in engineering part of hardware, they have to learn this ROS framework. So ROS framework is robotics or operating system, which is a framework. It sounds like operating system, but it's a framework which helps in interacting with robots. Now, I'll be talking a bit about SaaS platforms. Nowadays, everything is going towards SaaS. And I come from this kind of background which where I learned a lot of ERPs and CRM. ERP is enterprise resource planning, CRM is customer relationship module. So these are one of the most complex softwares from past 30 years which has been now so simplified for the users that anybody like you, me, and anyone who is having a business can use them. So these things has to be learned by everybody because at some point of time everybody wants to have their own business or to run their own company, so everyone can read transformation newspapers by big three and big fours. I would recommend reading McKinsey's transformation papers which they publish weekly and bi-weekly basis. Now these suppliers like SAP and Oracle and other companies, they have their own publishments and newsletters. You can subscribe to that as well. These are free for the students most of the time. Now, every company is moving towards metaverse, and from metaverse, the robotics and AI segment and these software providers are going to merge themselves. This will be done within next 2 to 3 years because when I was working with SAP, there was a project called SAP Value Metaverse, and it was being developed, and I had seen that. Now, to increase the knowledge, all of us can do the certifications. Now, in terms of robotics and ROS, there are not much certifications, but you can still go to Boston Dynamics platform and you can look for some new stuff. But for ERP, CRM, or any SaaS platform, you will definitely get certifications on their website. For SAP, it's open.sap. You can go there and you can explore more or more certifications. Now, suppose I am an X guy and I want to be at a Y position, but I don't know how to do this. So, LinkedIn is the best place to connect with people and talk to the guy who is doing a Y kind of role. Uh, we live in India, so people don't believe much in LinkedIn. But in my time in France, I learned to use LinkedIn a lot, and I interacted with a lot of people. I have helped a lot of people, and I have got help from a lot of people. So LinkedIn is one of the most powerful tool to build your career, to connect with people, and to have a very strong network background. Now, on the right side, I just wanted to talk about, as discussed with Nikita, I wanted to talk about two important job roles which will be ever growing and evergreen from now. Number one is product manager, and number two is growth manager. I know after our graduation, We, if we are working in IT, we will be having software engineer job or quality analyst job or SDE kind of role or application development kind of role. All these jobs are technical roles. But suppose there are students like me, because I did a technical course, but I was not much into that coding guy or programming guy. So I loved this kind of roles, which had a lot of stakeholder management, a lot of product management, a lot of project management, and a lot of relationship building. Both of these roles, product manager is a interface between a technical team and a business team, which will grow and grow and grow in, like, it will never stop. It will be one of the best role in the future. Growth manager is one of the newest role, especially when it comes to the new technologies. So suppose there is a blockchain kind of technology, or some, suppose if you know a company called Immutable X, that is a blockchain platform which is growing a lot in Australia and other part of the world. So they are expanding themselves towards game. They are expanding themselves towards some other supplier kind of platform. So they need this kind of position like growth managers to understand the industry and to develop the industry. So these two positions are really important from an engineering point of view, because if we are engineer, we would love to do these kind of positions. Now, Rahul, I would take a pause here, and I am free to answer all the questions from different folks, and we can start the Q&A here.
All right. So we ourselves had a few questions prepared for you, and
Sure.
we'd like to go with that first.
Sure.
It won't take a lot of time. I can promise you that.
Great. Shoot your questions. Yeah.
Right. So here's the first question. So, what are some qualities and attributes that you would expect in an ideal candidate getting into big tech?
So yeah, it depends on what kind of role an ideal candidate wants to be. So if you are going for, because I have done a technical role as well, and I have done a more of a sales or a non-technical role as well. But if you are very good in some basic point which works everywhere, so you should be very good at interpersonal skills, you should be very good at communication skills, you should be very good at dealing with people, you should be very good at saying no when it's too much. It should, you should be very good at saying no. Now if you're going for a technological role, you need to check what are the three basic technologies which will be a mandatory in this role. Now suppose if you're going for an engineering job or a typical coding or a front end development kind of job, you must know React development very well. You must know Node, JS or Redux. Okay, you must know the overall API integration and connection. You must know the basics of HTML, Java, CSS. Now, this is a technical part. Suppose if you are going for a sales or a marketing role, you should know what exactly is a modern day marketing, what is a 4P of marketing, and what kind of customers you are catering to. Yeah, I hope this answers well. Yeah.
Right. So you've already mentioned the growth of robotics and SaaS
Yeah.
in the next 10 years,
Mhm.
as well as a few more in the next 2 or 3 years. So is there anything you can add on that regarding the future of technology?
Future of technology, it's really a complicated question, but I need to tell you that automation will take a bigger place in our environment. I know in India it seems very difficult and it seems very long, but by 2030, at least 30% of jobs in the US will be automated. Okay, now I have told you about this robotics and AI. So I'll tell you one of the clients I have worked recently with. I'm not using their names. They are building an automated warehouse, which is more automated than the Amazon's warehouse which we have seen. So that means their warehouse is like a no man warehouse, no man's land. There will be only robots, only robots. So a lot of manual work will be reduced, but a lot of engineering in terms of technology or computer engineering will take place. Because to develop robots, we still need jobs.
Alright. So, with the current technical landscape in India, I mean, being in France, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but
Mhm.
in India, the words on everyone's mouth right now are layoffs. People being laid off from big tech companies like Google. So I just wanted to know your opinion on how you could. You've already mentioned the attributes that you need to like, get into big tech, but how can you be valuable to your corporation as well as the industry as a whole? So that was something we wanted to know.
So, um, I would, I can't say that this is not a good situation to like face this, but yeah, layoffs. It generally happens because the overall technological landscape changes. Like suppose if I have to give an example, and let's say we were talking about React. Okay, now what is happening is now the modern day web development or modern day front end development has to be in React or to be in a technology which is really futuristic. So if you see, there were PHP developers, there were Java developers, okay, and there were front end developers from different technologies. Now these kind of developers, their roles has become obsolete now because everybody wants to be in React because it is low code, more of no code. So because of emergent technologies, the older technologies are becoming obsolete, and the people which are who are having this old skills, and they prove to be not very much important for an organization, they they are suffering from layoff. This is more of a general definition of layoff from my side, and I also gave an example. But like every company has a way to manage the layoff. If I have to talk about SAP was very much particular in the process of hiring. Their hiring process is a limited hiring process. Like they manage their headcount. They do not hire anybody on a mass scale. So in this kind of crisis, these type of companies generally survive with their employees with very less level of layoff. I would agree that there will be some layoff at SAP, and I also heard a news like a few days ago that the number was very small. But so it depends on the organization, what kind of hiring they have done in the past, and what kind of talent they have, and is that talent really useful for a modern day company or not. So this is something where we all can learn that we have to be always above the curve. We have to be those front runners in terms of especially working in the technology sector, because layoff is not a very common word in India. But if we go to the US, layoff and severance package is something like a day to day thing for a lot of people.
So the upcoming questions are a bit more about your entrepreneurial ventures.
Yeah.
So, what was your main motivation behind your decision to become an entrepreneur?
Um, I always felt that I want to do something different in my life. Okay, I never felt that I'm one of those people who want to be the first bencher of the class and who wants to be like score good in the exams. Uh, I was like, okay, even though I can score good in the exam, I want to do something different. So I invested a lot of my free time in thinking what could be different from my end. So in this way, it was always a trial and error. When I was in my bachelor's, I did a lot of trial and error, and like not all of those startups worked out for me, but one worked out for a longer time. And like a few of startups which was a good idea and validated idea at that time, I didn't have funds to manage them, but today I will be revamping them. I know that today, if I start the same company again, it will work. So it was more of that differentiated mindset to do something different, which encouraged me to have a side by side entrepreneurial tenure when I am working as a professional.
Okay, that was a very insightful answer. And what would be your advice to college grads who want to become entrepreneurs? So I myself would be graduating in around 2 months.
So yeah,
So for a person
uh,
like me,
yeah, go on, please.
so yes, what would be your advice for college grads who want to become entrepreneurs?
So Rahul, very importantly, something which I really missed in my life is taking more and more of risk. Like people start running behind the jobs, and people start seeing different people or other classmates that they have got a package of 15 lakhs per annum or something like that, and we start trivializing ourselves, we start trivializing our talent. I still think that on that day when I had to accept the offer from Accenture, I could have changed my decision, but I didn't change it because I didn't want to take risk. So I had to manage two things at a time. But to you and the other fellows in the call, I would say that you can take risk and you can always think of a profession which is more related to your passion, which is something which you would love to do. Because I know you will get a good salary when you start working, you will get a good stability, but this is the age to do a lot of experiments, to take risk and to learn from our mistakes. If we don't do it now, we will be pressurized in our 35s or in 40s or something like that. So this is the time where we can do a lot of hit and trial and learn very much of new things. Even I do this now. So I'm gonna make a new cheesecake brand in a few weeks. Okay, I hope all of you get to know about it without me telling this to you.
Sure, so that would be really great if that happened, and I'm sure it will.
One of the brands, it came in Shark Tank this year. It
Oh,
was related to cheesecake, but I'm not that brand. Okay. Yeah, please go
nice.
on to the next question.
So yes, yeah, the questions that we have for you are done, but the audience and the floor is open for the audience to ask their questions and put their queries forward.
Sure. Do we have something on the chat, Rahul?
Yes, so the stream is going on a slight delay, so we might have to wait for around a minute to get questions.
Sure. Okay.
Just a minute, sir.
Sure.
Okay. So here's one that I personally have. So I've observed that you've donned a lot of hats in your career, like going from a technical field to a managerial field.
Hmm.
I mean, how is it that you're willing to experiment yourself in like so many areas in your life? Like, is there a certain mindset that you have to adopt for that?
Mm, like, um, if I were you, I would have asked a similar question to myself. But there's something always inside me which force me and tells me to take more risk. I don't know why, but like I always believe in my instinct, and I always think that uh, I can do this, and I can do this better than if anybody else is doing this. So imagine working in a technology company and then thinking that your particular counterpart from the management is not doing very well, and then targeting to be a better version of him. That inspired me to go for a management degree. And then when I always dreamed of having a chain of restaurants for myself, and I hope someday I will open it. But that is something which always pushes me to take more risk and to be a bit different. Even if it is a stupid thing, I prefer being different than prefer being normal. That's the way of thinking. Yeah.
All right. So this is a question about your investment, okay, your investment ventures.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not the best stock market expert or something, but from
Yeah.
what I've heard about investments, people usually go for blue chip fund stocks like big tech companies or like very fast growing startups which work in tech. So
Hmm.
I just thought, I mean, I just personally thought food and beverages are not, the most obvious investment, let's say. It's not an obvious investment for someone looking to invest in the stock market and make their money grow. So if there was something that you would like to explain about your choice of investment, it would be really great.
So I told you, right, this started when I was 18-year old. So when I joined my engineering school, I was not used to get very good quality or very nice homemade food. So from that point of time, I was used to see those restaurants that they, in a very slow pace way, even if they are not doing a lot of business, they are still earning a lot. So I at that point of time I imagined that I would make a brand into this restaurant business, but to learn how this restaurant culture overall it works, we should always learn how the ecosystem works. So first I invested in a franchisee of a company. Now how can I explain the franchisee thing? I'll just give you a quick example. McDonald's is a US based company. They want to expand in India. So they have to give their franchisees to different companies in India to run their restaurants. So first I ran a franchisee business to understand how this overall restaurant business works or restaurant ecosystem works. So after doing that, I understood that what are the main things to look at, how we have to manage it. Because when you do a franchisee business, you understand the SOP, how the overall ecosystem reacts. Now, once you have done that, you understand more of different sub industries in an industry. So I have done a lot of trial and error, and it's like I I have some wrong investments as well. But still, I now I know which kind of investment can go well and which kind of investment can not go well. But it's never a wrong decision. It's just the time when the people are also affected by the layoffs, right? So if you do an investment at the time of layoff, you will definitely have less people to dine in at your restaurant. So it's just an example, but you will learn when you indulge yourself for a longer time in an industry.
Okay, so it was more of a thing, more of passion driving you than the economic returns. Am
Yeah,
I
it,
right to
it
assume that?
was it was more of a problem solving approach than a passion, but it became a passion eventually. Do we have some more questions, Rahul?
Just 1 second, sir. I'm
Sure.
looking for it. So, guys, so if you have any other questions, just put it in the live chat and we'll be here to answer you.
Okay, and I have a hard stop in next 5 minutes, Rahul.
I see, I
So
see. Hello. Right then. So, without taking any more of your time, we'll close the session. So, again, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here with us today. And a huge thank you to Qualcomm, our title sponsor for Probe'23, for making this lecture possible. This is Rahul, your host, signing off, and have a good evening. Thank you.
thank you, Rahul. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.